Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at virginiafarmbureau.com.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all the wonderful products we enjoy, brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau.
This month we visit a Virginia peanut grower to learn more about this famous, delicious crop. Chef Maxwell shares a recipe using Virginia pork and fresh cucumbers, and learn how the state's Department of Forestry helps landowners replant trees after a harvest.
Welcome back everyone to Real Virginia. We are coming to you from the New Kent Forestry Center, and we're going to talk a little bit about forest land in Virginia later on in our show. But first, let's talk peanuts. We've been growing peanuts in Virginia since colonial times, and as Ricky Gibson tells us, it's now making a comeback with Virginia growers.
Peanuts have been grown in Virginia since colonial times. Virginia's special claim to peanut fame dates back to 1842, when the first commercial peanut crop was raised in Sussex County. And as planting season got underway this May, grower Gary Cross says Virginia peanuts are still the best.
Virginia peanuts are noted to be a larger peanut. They use them primarily at your ballparks. You'll see them cooked in the bags. After they're shelled and cooked, there you'll find them in the cans, salted in the can or unsalted in the can, but they're large, just larger than what a Spanish peanut or a runner peanut will give you.
The farmers always liked the Virginia peanut. It grew well in our soils. It's much bigger, so it does take more water. We don't have any irrigation, but with the sand we've got, we tended to always have enough water. For the most part, maybe 10% of the acres now are devoted to the runner type, but at least 90%, if not more, are still growing the Virginia style peanut.
You can only have a Vidalia onion from Vidalia, Georgia. Well, we feel as if you can only have a Virginia tasting peanut from Virginia.
Cotton, with the Virginia Peanut Growers Association, says peanuts are grown throughout the South, from New Mexico to Virginia. But most of them are either runner type peanuts, which are typically used for peanut butter, or the Spanish or Valencia types used for candies.
With the Virginia type, you have your end shells, you have your gourmet peanuts, some are made into peanut butter, so there's multiple uses for the Virginia type peanut. A lot of the peanuts go to the end shell processor, but we've also got in this area about 30 or so gourmet people who put them in the cans and sell them all over the country and all over the world.
Cotton says some of the peanut shellers and manufacturers in southeastern Virginia have been around for more than a century, so the industry is well established. And while major processors like Planters and Birdsong Peanuts are international companies, there's still plenty of room for local entrepreneurs.
Virginia is very unique in having those gourmet processors. Each one of them has its own fans out in the U.S. and in the world, and they sell a lot of peanuts to them. All of them got websites, all of them got 800 numbers, and particularly at Christmas and holiday time is their busiest times of the year.
Cross and his fellow farmers are crossing their fingers as they plant. While there's good moisture levels this year, the real risk comes at harvest time. Unlike other crops, peanuts lay exposed in the field and vulnerable for several days in the fall.
You can raise it, you can have the biggest crop you've ever had. Once you turn it up to the sun and expose it, it has to lay there and dry for a period of time before we can harvest it. And at that point, hurricanes in the fall of the year, October, has done in the past put a damper on what we thought was a great crop. We have to have the peanuts out of the ground and in some form have already been dried before a frost hits them, once we have turn them upside down and expose them.
Unlike other basic crops like corn and soybeans, Virginia-type peanuts are grown only in 8 southeast Virginia localities and a few in North Carolina. Cotton says about 25% of each year's crop is sold overseas.
We've got some competitors in the world, but not many of them that grow Virginia-type peanuts. So There's a big business of exporting Virginias, and that does help when the supply gets out of hand and we have excess supply.
The number of Virginia peanut farms declined dramatically after 2002 when the federal peanut program ended. Peanuts are raised on about 200 farms today compared to 700 farms in 1997. But Cross says younger growers are taking a serious look at peanuts and deciding they can make money with them again.
These young boys are energetic and want to plant peanuts again, and I'm glad of that. Southampton County lost a lot of acres since 2002, and we used to be the top in the state. Our land is perfect for peanuts in this county, so I'm glad to see them coming back.
In 2016, growers earned a little more than $15 million raising peanuts. But growers like Cross are hoping renewed interest in Virginia-type peanuts means they're on the comeback trail, as long as the weather cooperates. In Southampton County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
While popular for centuries here in the U.S., peanuts were originally native to South America. Spanish explorers brought the plant to Africa, and African slaves brought it back to North America. The Virginia-type peanut's only grown in 8 localities in the Old Dominion, all in the southeastern corner of the state, where sandy soils provide excellent growing conditions. Peanuts became popular as a snack food after the Civil War. In the 1920s and 30s, groundbreaking research by George Washington Carver highlighted how nutritious and versatile a crop of peanuts could be. And the rest is history.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, we're going to talk about an easy-to-grow plant, peonies. Stay with us.
More than 90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made a promise to our local farmers to protect and preserve a way of life they'd worked so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. Anyone can be a Farm Bureau member and enjoy the many benefits of membership. There's a local Farm Bureau in every county of the state. We think everyone should be a friend of the farm. Visit our website at virginiafarmbureau.com to learn more.
You're going to need me. You're going to need all of us. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Peony plants are real showstoppers in the summer, and today Mark Viette has some tips on how you can make your peony plants at their best in the garden.
These peonies I'm talking about are known as herbaceous peonies. That means they die back to the ground. I'm not talking about tree peonies, which are different yet. One of the things you're going to notice is quite a few different types. We have the anemone type with the little petaloids in the center. Then we have the doubles, and you can see the white double and the red double. And then we also have the singles. And there's also Japanese types. So there's a lot of different types that you can have in a garden. One thing to keep in mind, if you are going to use them as cut flowers, don't take all the stems off the peony, because the foliage produces the buds for next year. And usually what I do is I cut about 2/3 of the stem. I leave a little bit of the stem with leaves, remove some of the lower leaves, and you can put them in water. You can also cut them where in tight bud they will last and bloom maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. There are some maintenance issues that we do need to talk about with peonies. Peonies are a long-lived plant, but they are subject to a few disease problems. The most common one is botrytis blight. It's where the bud sort of turns black, sometimes gray, and does not fully open. Another disease problem might be leaf blotch, where the leaves sort of turn brown. The other issue might be powdery mildew, which shows up in the summer as a white powdery coating. There are a couple things that you can do to eliminate this. One of them is to spray with fungicides according to the label direction. And you would start when the plants might be 6 inches tall, 12 inches tall again, maybe 24 inches tall every 2 weeks with the recommended fungicide. That will help prevent some of these problems. The last thing you can do in the fall, end of August, September, October, you can remove all the foliage completely to the ground. Remember, these are herbaceous. They die back to the ground. Cut them to the ground, throw away the old foliage, because sometimes that old foliage will have disease spores for the following year. These are long-lived plants. They're also known as heirloom plants, sometimes Mother's Day plants. They can live in a garden 50 to 100 years. On top of all of that, they love clay soils, which most of us have. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
What dish combines Virginia pork and garden fresh cucumbers? Chef John Maxwell shares a Mediterranean favorite next in the Heart of the Home.
To your table. Virginia dairy farm families are dedicated to providing your family with nutritious, high-quality milk.
I'm Dan Myers, a fifth-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I'm Roy Vanderhyde, a first-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I'm Gerald Heatwolf, a third-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I am dedicated to dairy, my cows,
my milk,
and our land.
Fresh Virginia cucumbers are available soon, and of course, Virginia pork loin is available all year long. Today, Chef John Maxwell combines the two for a delicious Mediterranean dish in the heart of the home.
Hi, and welcome to Heart of the Home. I'm Chef John Maxwell, and we're here at Meadow Hall in Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. Every week we get a chance to play with some great Virginia food, and this is no exception. We've got a number of things this week. We're going to be playing with pork primarily, and we've got some cucumbers, and we're making a great tzatziki sauce with souvlaki. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the tzatziki sauce. Now, that's really pretty simple. It's a cucumber and yogurt sauce, but I got to peel and seed the cucumbers, and I already peeled them. So I'm just going to take the seeds out with this spoon. And now I'm going to chop them small. Start by cutting them into very small strips. And then cut them into small pieces. You can shred these if you've got the right kind of shredder. All right? It doesn't really make much difference. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to salt these while I'm making the rest of the sauce, and then I'll add this to that sauce. Right? The reason I'm going to salt them, right, is because I want to pull as much water out of them as I can. The salt won't hurt the sauce, right, but it will pull the liquid out so I can drain the liquid off when I'm ready to add it to the rest of the sauce. Right, now I'm going to build this sauce. I'm going to put in a little bit of garlic, some yogurt. This is good, thick Greek yogurt. It's a lot thicker than most yogurts. In fact, the real translation isn't yogurt. It's like Greek cheese is what they call it. Right? I'm going to add a little bit of mint to it. Now, classically in Greece, you'd be using dill for a tzatziki sauce. I'm going to use some mint. Set that over here. Stir that around. I'm going to add a little bit of white wine vinegar. A little bit of lemon juice. I'm going to add some pepper. Normally I would do salt and pepper in a sauce, but the salt is in the cucumbers already. And when I get ready to add the cucumbers, there'll be some salt going in there. I'll adjust the flavor for salt afterwards. Okay, so that really is tzatziki sauce. There's not much more to do it but combine the cucumbers. Right? So this is going to go over here, and I'm going to get ready to do the pork. Now I'm going to cut it down. and cut it into some chunks. All right, I got this, and I'm going to put it in here while I get my marinade made. I'm going to add some garlic here. I'm going to add some thyme and some oregano. I'm going to add some pepper. Some red wine vinegar. Okay, I'm going to add some olive oil. I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice. You can get about an ounce of lemon juice out of a side, quarter cup to a lemon perhaps. I've got the marinade done here, and I'm going to put this pork into the marinade and let it cure for about 3 hours or so. I'm going to start skewering this. I'm going to put 3 or 4, depending on the size, on each of these skewers. I got 4. I've got these cucumbers, and now I'm going to add them to the tzatziki sauce that we made before. Let that mix in there and pick up all those flavors. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, I got some color coming up. I popped these pita in the oven, right? So I'm going to split them. They split a lot easier when you warm them up some. The air inside of them kind of pops it out. I'm going to take a piece of pita. Right. I'm going to take a bit of the souvlaki. Right. Pull that off and set it in there. Now I'm going to add the tzatziki sauce to it, and it's ready to go out on the table. And this little contraption that I've got, you can get in a lot of different places. It's not really a pita bread holder, it's a taco holder, but it works pretty good. And there we go. We got souvlaki with tzatziki sauce. Join us next week on Heart of the Home when we get to play with more great Virginia food.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Maxwell's website at chefjohnmaxwell.com. Cucumbers are a cool summer veggie that can be grown anywhere in the Old Dominion. They're raised on more than 1,100 farms each year, mostly small operations that are less than 5 acres. But there are several large cucumber operations on Virginia's eastern shore. 46 farms send their cucumbers to processors for pickling and other uses. The rest are sold on the fresh market. Cucumbers are members of the same plant family as squash, pumpkins, muskmelons, watermelons, and gourds.
Forests cover about 62% of Virginia, and most of our forest land is privately owned. As Dave Miller reports, many landowners are using a popular state program to help keep the Old Dominion green.
The Virginia Department of Forestry is 101 years old and has grown from an agency that solely fought forest fires to one that also works to advise landowners on good forest management and help replant timber resources. Landowners like Ann Todd, who owns several timber tracts in King William and Hanover counties. Over the years, she, along with her father and grandfather, have worked to be good stewards of their forest land. So when it was time to replant some trees, she consulted with her local state forester.
They clear cut, and then we had that pre-emergent put down to stop all the undergrowth from growing so it wouldn't compete with the new pines that were going to be planted. And that was, it took about 2 years. We cut it in 2015, and then I think it was 2016 when the emergent went down, and then they planted in spring of 17. Okay. So we've got these nice little seedlings, and as I say, they've got about a 2-inch candle top on them, so they're looking good.
Dave Slack with the Department of Forestry explained that his department offers landowners financial incentives to plant trees, apply herbicides, conduct beneficial burnings, or when preparing an area to be replanted. State cost share funds are limited, but they do make a difference in convincing landowners to invest in replanting timberland.
We have a statewide program called Reforestation of Timberlands, or sometimes we refer to it as RT, the acronym. And the RT program is essentially it's a tax that forest industry applied to themselves in the 1970s to fund reforestation and forest management work on private property. And that tax is matched by the General Assembly each year.
Todd says her family has never overharvested their timber or abused their land. She remembers her father cutting trees and replanting them by hand. It can take 15 to 30 years for some timber stands to reach maturity, depending on whether they are pine or hardwood. So owners like her have to take the long view to be good stewards.
The forests are very important, not only to me, but to everyone. Everyone that grows trees. You have to have trees in order to survive on this planet. They purify the air, and then of course when you harvest you get the end results with timber. It's when you look around and you see a lot of the land being developed, I think that's a very sad thing, because I think a lot more should be put into growing trees, whether they're the hardwood or pine. Let's keep our land green. Let's keep our trees growing. Let's, when we cut them down, let's plant them back.
The forest industry contributes $17 billion a year to Virginia's economy, and landowners collect $345 million each year from timber sales. Both hardwood and softwood trees are harvested annually, and thanks to the Port of Virginia, timber and finished wood products are easily shipped around the world. That's why it's so important to harvest these trees responsibly and to replant them. That way, Virginia's forest industry and the environment will thrive.
There are a number of benefits from harvesting in terms of manipulating the habitat for a lot of wildlife species. Not all wildlife species like old, mature woods, and there are some species that prefer to have very young, very early aged habitats. So a clear-cut harvest or a final harvest such as what we're looking at today is the type of habitat that's very beneficial for some species of songbirds, for things like rabbits, for bobwhite quail, for wild turkey, for a number of other types of animal species. They find habitat conditions here that they don't find in an older, mature forest where the canopy is closed, where there's a lot of shade, where there's not as much undergrowth.
If you'd like more information or advice about harvesting timber, or to learn about the Virginia Reforestation Assistance Program, contact your Department of Forestry area forester, or visit the website at dofvirginia.gov. In King William County, this is Dave Miller.
That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We're so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your kitchen, or your landscape, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good week.
Home will always be Chesapeake Bay.